Arise, minions, and welcome to unMadeGaming. We are here for another episode of our one-on-one shots of Void Season 2.5. It's me, your boy. Stop! We already have 3 corruption bars. Please just chill. Anyway, back to my speech. If you like what we do here and you want to support the channel, the best way to do that is by joining us on the Patreon. Link for that down below. And joining us over in our Discord to be a part of the conversation and the community. Link for that down below as well. As always, you will see in the bottom right-hand corner the corruption bar that has already been hit 3 times. That bar, when it fills, all that money goes towards the funds we're raising for season 3 and beyond. And every single every time it fills, Dot gets to fucking destroy my whole life. Guys, don't dance about it. Don't dance about it.
Corruption dance. This is my
Rude.
corruption
Okay,
dance.
all right. We're at a level 4 hype train, 3 corruption bars.
Toot toot.
All right, Dot, just kill me. Just
Can we
get it
some
over
tea?
with.
I'm just gonna get some tea sippage in chat for you. Look at this.
Just get it over with.
I'm sipping my tea for you. Okay.
Malik dies. End of show. Got it. Thanks, team.
Well, I don't even know where to begin. Last time we were here, when we did our one-on-one shot, it was Tal's turn, and we saw where Tal was 9 months out from the point of Sewell's arrest. Which is, of course, spoiler alert, the end of season 2. This is spoilerific, y'all, so just get ready. And Tal took a little trip with her sister into the bowels of Coriolis to find that, well, there's more there than meets the eye, and that her sister is into some weird things, like snakes. But today's game does not follow Tal. It follows Malik, 6 months out from the point of Sewell's arrest. 6 months is a long time. You have not managed to save Lumara in this time. What has Malik been up to?
Nothing. He's been
For 6 months. He's
just been hanging out playing mahjong. It's just, you know.
I imagine poorly.
It just being safe in like a marshmallow padded room where there is safety.
Does he have a marshmallow padded room?
No, Dot. He has danger. Malik has been, I mean, for all intents and purposes that the crew knows, he could be very well in a marshmallow padded room somewhere. Because shortly after the events of, Sewell's, kidnapping, as Malik has been calling it, he has disappeared. Malik has had little to no contact over the last 6 months with anyone on the ship. There have been emails exchanged from the main account on board the Defiant. There have been emails exchanged between himself and Tamir. All of them have been met with automated response emails that Malik has set up because he is not taking calls at this moment. Coriolis would think Malik is dead. The cameras have not picked up Malik in months. He has not been seen. But where he actually is inside of the apartment that he owned when he worked for Spaceby.
Where, I'm guessing it's probably not a very nice apartment.
It's not in the slums. It's on the Tech Plaza, which I think is like in the central of Coriolis, but it's definitely like,
It's a loft, is what it is. It's a loft of like an open bazaar.
Yeah, it's like, I imagine it like the new Judge Dredd movie where they have like the long, like the very high like buildings that are just like stacked full of apartments, basically. Mm-hmm. It's like that, and he purposefully chose in one of the least like safe areas It's an area where like no one wanders into accidentally, and most of the Coriolis, Space Force avoid it.
Yeah, if you come to this tech plaza, you're there for a very specific reason.
Correct.
It's not just like a shopping, walking district.
Right.
Okay. So I would say that our camera would pan in on Malik's apartment, but it doesn't. It pans in probably maybe on a table or floor of Malik's apartment to a container. A white container, cylindrical, and glowing red around the edges. It looks about the same as it did 6 months ago. In fact, exactly the same. Does Malik keep it anywhere specific?
Yeah. So if the camera kind of pulls in and starts its focus there and does this kind of like out, like this this zoom out, as it were.
I would say it's actually zooming in.
Okay.
It's the opposite. It's going to zoom in very tight on
Yeah.
this.
It is on a relatively nice looking table. Whether it is actual or faux space marble, you're not sure, but that's the design is what it is. And it's like a, dark wooden legs, but there's nothing on the table. And the table looks like glossy, like as if it is cleaned. And there is no dust on this cylindrical item as well.
I'm guessing it's the only thing on this countertop.
It is the only thing on this table. Yep. And it's so glossy that it's like, it's almost perfectly centered. And you can kind of, as it zooms in, you can kind of see it reflecting in several directions from all of the lights.
The table.
Yeah.
I love it. And maybe even a flicker from probably a computer screen or some kind of HUD screen off in the distance as it kind of zooms in on this white container. And it keeps zooming until it passes through the outer hull into this container.
Oh, I hate that.
It's pitch black, and all the audience really can see is a woman. Black and orange hair, white clothing, untouched. Probably cleaner than when she entered it. Sitting on the floor, knees up to her chest, crying into her knees. And a voice, booming and harsh, comes out of the blackness. Would you stop crying? She sobs harder. It growls in response, making itself known visibly. A strange, floating form erupts from the darkness. Hair kind of floating and standing on end. Its ethereal, kind of poltergeisty body flows with robes, and it looms over her in size. Mara cries, and she cries. She is whispering something to herself, though you can't really tell what it is, for the presence of the Djinn sucks the sound out of space and time. And its voice booms once again. Give up, child. She cries. It's gonna be fine. They're gonna find a way to get me out of here. It's gonna be fine. She kind of whispers as she sobs into her knees. And when they do, I'm coming with you. He laughs. Big and bold. She cries just as hard. There's no tearing us apart now. She stops crying for the first time since this scene. We actually see the Djinn outside of her body, and she picks herself up off the floor, maybe with the last bit of effort and bravery that she has in her body. And she looks a Djinn dead in the eye. And she says, They're gonna make sure that you go back to where you came from. Malik's gonna save me. The Djinn laughs, a big laugh, so loud that Lumara has to cover her ears, and she shrinks once again into the size of a small child as she hugs herself and begins crying once more. And in maybe a moment of love, or maybe it is bravery, she screams back against his illustrious booming voice. Go away! She screams. And as it does, it breaks whatever spell he was trying to put on her or bind on her. And the camera cuts back inside Malik's apartment. This white canister that sits on this very sterile table begins to judder. And with the sound of her saying, "Stop!" the canister slings itself across the room and smashes into the wall, Malik.
I feel like this isn't an abnormal occurrence. And Malik, who is in, whatever makes for a super high-tech Switch streamer chair, he slides his chair back, and like as the camera kind of positions to the chair sliding back, you see that like the room is very dark. As I realize I have the wrong background on. But the room is incredibly dark, save for the flickering screens that like judder on and off all over the room. There are at least half a dozen that you can see flickering
just,
on.
Running code?
Yeah, so there's probably 3 at the desk that he's working on, and then there's miscellaneous ones that are running other things around the room. And as the chair kind of slides along whatever makes for this like hardened, metallic linoleum floor, you can see that there are basically pathways cut into junk on the floor of where this chair has slid from this place to the computer to this place to the computer, basically going from all other server racks and computers back to here. And he kind of spins around, gets out of the chair, and in the that blue light cascading from the primary screens, you can see a very different Malik. The shaved hair on the side of his head is probably 1.5 inches longer and kind of scraggly. The well-manicured top knot, the little man bun he had on the back, is now just sort of cascading down the sides of his head. It's unkempt, disheveled, and he has a full, probably solid, like 4-inch long beard that is kind of Hagridy, if I had to say. It's definitely wiry and out there, and he kind of stands and like kind of pulls it into some kind of shape, looks at the urn on the ground and waits for it to stop like juddering, and then he just calmly picks it up and places it and adjusts it to the center of the table, and then quietly walks over to the other machines, and you see him like press a button, you hear a keystroke, and then more boop, 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 screens kind of light up around, and you can see that there are 2 large server stacks that are just running, just like it's like the Matrix. They're just constantly writing lines and lines and lines of data.
Are they looking for anything?
These 2 are looking for things.
Okay.
These 2 are patched into as much of the Coriolis main system computer as possibly can, with varying depths through their firewalls, scouring for any information on Djinn is one of them. There's like various search commands for Djinn lore, Djinn, anything like about that. Like compiling any term that he could think of around, like in a thought cloud of the word Djinn. And the other one is compiling a similar thing on the name Trellmarian and what the hell was the other name? I think that was it, Trellmarian, because I don't know where the prison is. So it's just Trellmarian is what it's compiling on. And he has that one is as deep as he can go without being caught by the Syndicate. As deep as he can go without being out-hacked. And then he walks to the third one and sort of lights up a keystroke, and a single smaller monitor runs, and that looks almost like an old school message board. But as he like hits a few keys, you can see that it's completely automated, and it just keeps responding to certain things. And several things on there are emails from the Defiant, emails from Tamir, and several of them are contracts from unknown entities hiring Malik to look for data. And he has them all automated.
To get like an away message?
The Defiant and Tamir ones are getting away messages. The other ones are scouring for business opportunities because he's not leaving the apartment and he can do his special brand of business from right here.
Okay.
He needs to pay to upkeep the amount of electricity he's using.
Using at the moment, yeah, and to probably try to convince Coriolis that you're not a power hub at the moment.
Yeah,
with a lot of energy.
It's the 4 server stacks, the one he's using, and these 3 automated ones, and then a bunch of industrial coolers that are just in here, and then junk on the floor.
Down.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't check the messages ever. You just let them, except for the actual business ones.
The ones that like meet a certain monetary threshold in the business ones automatically get forwarded to my main computer.
But not the ones from the Defiant.
Mm-mm. There's an automated response for those.
When was the last time you spoke to your brother?
I don't think Malik knows what day it is.
Maybe because you're over here. Maybe because your eye catches it. You check the date.
Mm-hmm.
It has been roughly 3 months since you have actually left this apartment. You know that Tamir knows where you are, kind of, because occasionally he'll drop off a care package, and you've been dropping off your own packages or having them delivered to the Defiant when it docks.
That is correct. Yeah, that is another one of the automated on the smaller computer. That is one of the automated things, is that he has it set up to be like every 30 days, a shipment will be assigned to the Defiant, whether it's at the dock or not. That's up to the dock master to hold on to it. But yeah, he has a small crate, smaller than the crate we took to Kua. Maybe a quarter of the size, delivered to the ship.
Delivered to the ship. We'll find out what those are later. But it's been 3 months since you have actually walked out of this apartment, since you have done more than look out of your window, even if that, down at the plaza below. Your food is running low. Tamir's not going to be by, or if you're counting, he's supposed to be out with Tao. Would you know what he's up to? Would you have kept tabs on him?
No.
Okay, then you wouldn't know. But if Tamir has been making food deliveries to you, a recent one has not come because you've really lost track of time. It's been about 12 weeks. So you've not checked your mail, your hard mail, not your email or any of that. Do you feel inclined to do so?
I think it's one of those things where like he doesn't realize that it's been so long since he's gotten a care package and or food until he turns to go back to the main computer where he was sitting originally, and you hear that like, and he kind of sighs and like runs a keystroke across the smaller computer again, and you can see automated scripts start to run, and an email is sent, and then a phone call is dialed, and he basically orders Space Dash to his door.
Space Dash to door. You place an order and get it in, and I'm gonna today, you've been running this for a while, I'm gonna have you roll a Data Djinn roll to see how successful some of this coding has been in getting you the information you're trying to retrieve.
Yeah.
Which is kind of key. Oh, and I need you to draw a card.
Of course you do, Dot. Why wouldn't you?
Sorry, I should have had you do that.
The faceless one. Draw 1 card. Let me see here.
I always forget to do that at the top. Don't let me forget to do that at the top, chat.
Okay.
What'd you get?
A person of influence.
Okay. That is good. I have a plan for that. Okay, I'm taking that.
By all means.
I'm gonna take it. Okay, a person of influence. So your Void Dash has been ordered, and you are probably headed back to your computer.
Yeah.
Let's get this Data Djinn roll, and I'll tell you if anything pings. Okay.
Limited success.
It's a success. Most of this is pretty standard. Over the last 6 months, I would say probably the first 3 months was the hardest. You had to get this place set up. You had to get it off the radar, which means you spent a lot of time just building the security network you needed to do it, not
Right.
actually doing the research. By, I would say, month 3, you were deep into a safe place where you could start digging. What Malik has managed to pull from this is that all the way back to what little records we have, even after the portal wars of the like kind of original humans that were here, talk of Djinn, and it comes in many forms. Like you said, demon. Sometimes it's old language calls it a genie. You don't even know what that is. And all the interpretations are a little different. But what has piqued your interest the most are the first-hand accounts. Because there is no history book that's going to tell this to you, right? You might find a paper in the Coriolis library where somebody dives a little deep, but they would have probably edited or censored some of it out with black lines, because space is a scary place. But it's the first-hand accounts. There are 2 that really pique your interest. One is a first-hand account by a young woman. She's not called a priestess then, but her last name is Sholey. Many, many, many years ago, Sholey debriefed here on Coriolis after bringing a group of children on board from a rescue mission to a planet called Uharu. She adopted one of them. The other account that kind of piques your interest is mostly the ramblings of a madman, which only a madman himself would be able to get anything from. But a theory that he had, that Djinn are brought into this world by having to have a vessel at all points, which is why they need a body. They ride back from beyond, from the void of nothingness, back into this plane of existence.
Hate that.
Yeah. And while they are here, they need a body to possess. And this is the word he used, possess. Which probably doesn't settle well with you. But technically, the Djinn has a container, and I would think that Malik would have been able to decipher over 3 months' time that with a Djinn in another container, it wouldn't need Lamara's body, which means that she is dwelling with a Djinn inside of the container.
Okay.
You don't know what happens when they come back out. That is the big question. But the problem is, you've not been able to find heads nor tails of any information of how to fix it. Nobody talks of a reversal or an option for saving the person. Just that when the Djinn is here, it is here. The doorbell rings about this time.
I think he walks over to the door, having already paid, and just sort of stands by it for a second. And just waits until he hears the footsteps recede.
Oh, man, I was hoping for a tip. Ugh. And yeah, and you hear kind of another knock, and eventually the footsteps reside, and you can kind of creak the door open.
Yeah, it's like a goblin. He like opens the door just enough to like get a hand and the food.
Yeah, I was about to say sterile white light pours in. So does all of your mail. Most of it is garbage, but it all pours in at your feet, where it has been kind of left out front for a while. When you slide the food in, it kind of rakes all the mail in, just like a goblin. You hoard it into your cave, and you close the door.
And then
you might even hear the patter of footsteps as he's like, "Hey, I need a signature!" And then the door like closes.
And the mail just kind of blends in with the rest of the trash on the floor.
With the rest of the rest of everything else. I'm gonna have you roll an observation.
Okay, let's see what happens. Observation. Let me remove this. Plus, observation. Critical al-Asad back at it again, boys.
No matter how hard you try to hide, there are some things, and no matter how hard you've tried to like remain to yourself, in all of this mail as it comes through, you know your brother's handwriting.
Mm-hmm.
You know it immediately. There's a handwritten note from your brother, not an email. It looks to be at the bottom of this pile, which means it's been here quite a while. You checked your mail 3 months ago. In The Sims, it would be bright red.
Yeah. He, I don't know. There's something that sticks out enough, that like for Tamir to go to this analog of an attempt, that like it's enough to make him pick it up and open it, but he's very irritated about it. Like,
Imagine.
like the fact that he now has to go through whatever this is that is to him right now a distraction from what he is currently doing, much like food and shaving. He kind of picks this thing up and like unseals it, but as he's unsealing it, he like kicks a metal waste paper basket over towards like one of the clear parts of the walkways in the room, and then kind of pulls it open, and is absolutely reading this in strained blue light from the computer screens.
Yeah, as you creak it open, two things. It's a note from your brother, and inside is a data stick. I imagine the note from your brother is rather short. I suspect that Tamir is smart enough to get the picture. But it's probably a little personal note to remind you he's your brother, and he's concerned about you. And more importantly, that he met someone that gave him information that you might find interesting.
I think in no malicious way whatsoever, like just purely efficiency and paper trail, he takes the data stick and sort of like tucks it into like his shemagh for now, and then you see him like reach down to one of the piles that like obviously he knows where things are in this disheveled mess, and pulls out like a small lighter and lights the paper on fire and drops it into the bin, because he knows Tamir and knew that whatever was going to be in this was likely incriminating, which is why it was inconvenient.
Exactly, and why it was an analog.
Right.
There was something about not wanting to send you an email with this information.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, he drops it in the bin, and like that becomes the brightest light source in the room for like 30 seconds.
Like orange and warm light takes over the space, which everything else has been washed in this like blue, green, cool tones, and I think we really see how tired and probably emaciated and maybe even sickly Malik might be after just spending this much time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Quarantine.
Like you with the flare up of that orange light for the 30 seconds it's going to take for that paper to burn. You definitely see that he is in like a ratty undershirt, like a t-shirt that has like a couple of holes in it. He's in like the basically like the pants that he was wearing is what he's been kind of wearing, and you can see like his jacket is on like what was the couch, which is now a pile of clothing, and like his with the red light sort of jumping up, you can catch the massive shadows and pits in his eyes that like he's maybe getting 2 hours of sleep every couple days. You can see that there's like another small trash can next to, there's an attempt at cleanliness, next to his main computer station. And it looks like it's just full of those like metal pill tablets, of whatever he's been using to power through and stay as awake
Space
as possible.
Adderall.
Yeah. That's just full of it. And so, yeah, he watches the paper kind of catch, and then looks like between terminals before sitting back down at the primary terminal. And then you see him like reach up to something and the screens kind of rotate, and he plugs the data stick into a different one of the screens.
You click it in and it very quickly pulls up some pretty basic data files. This is just like a folder with some files in it. But what interests you the most is, and I imagine you like not only bring the videos files themselves up, but you like running data information on it as well and something else. And there are a few things that catch your eye. One, these are like video files, but two, you've never ever seen code like this. This is This is a Data Djinn, and nonetheless, it's written with an additional code that you don't know or understand, something that's outside of your normal purview of like hacker knowledge. But you open these videos nonetheless. They play kind of staticky and unnaturally. You're seeing through the eyes of a person, first person perspective. Um, Almost like a premonition or a dream. They walk through a door and it changes, and they end up on a desert planet, um, listening to the teachings of a man. He stands in black and white garb. It contrasts this place entirely, and he holds in his hands a tome. It doesn't seem to be like it seems to be more like a scrapbook filled with pages from other books that have been combined in some way. You cannot quite hear what he says. It's as if the sounds are underwater, but as he points and he gestures, you begin going through the rest of the files. And it seems that there's information here about a book, a tome, an ancient piece of hard data, not computer data, that has been lost. The second video that you watch is of a ship. This man is on it, so is this other person, whoever this first person is, and the ship goes down on a planet that, well, I say a planet, a system that you know. Algol passes by in the window as the vessel plunges towards, or is pulled towards, a moon nearby, one that you know all too well. It is a junk moon. The consortium magnetized it, so it is consistently growing in size as the metal is basically, they dump it in space and it's attracted to the planet and it compacts itself. It's been compacting itself for quite a while. The ship shoots towards the surface and goes down. One of the files that has been combined seems to be a personal personal journal entries, research, and one of them talks about a ability, a writing, a source that is said to be able to rip something from the body, pull it from it, exercise it, you might say. The journal entries are signed 2-bit.
I think, like, I have the camera kind of doing that, like, screen to Malik kind of thing.
And he's like, I imagine your eyes are like,
yeah. What you see is all of the humor and sarcasm and like, I don't know, all of the Malik is gone. There is no right brain. It's only left brain. So these videos are playing, and you can see his eyes sort of jitter left and right, but his hands are moving, and anytime there's a word on the screen or a ship name or a word that like sticks out as like, I don't recognize this thing, there's like a slight hand movement and you see it appear on a different one of the screens, and he drops it in what looks like a folder, and then when the camera kind of cuts back, you can see that the terminal that was searching for Djinn has now added words to it. It is now searching for these things.
Yep.
It is a very cold and calculating Malik. He is just,
I would say that the
mode.
next thing that you ping is actually the ship itself. You get the name of this vessel that they were all riding and that went down on this jump planet. I'm going to give you a name of this jump planet.
Yeah, once he starts picking up these keywords, you'll see like the hand again go to that like Dropbox basically, and he starts deleting the Djinn search terms. And now and again, there's no one to talk to, right? So there's no need to make a noise here. He's in this sound dampened room, and he's just, all you hear is a occasional keystroke and the click, 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 and then of the fans spin up, and as a new search begins.
So the search begins. You would know this junk planet well. It is in the Algol system. It's called XR. Is the name of the the planet, or the moon. And then The name of the vessel is the Osai, O-S-I, the Osai. Um, you go through ship logs running the Osai. They run and they run. Malik's used to waiting. It takes a few hours, and finally something comes back to you. The last time that the Osai was sighted was before the Portal Wars. A very old ship log. It said that the vessel was lost and crash landed on Exar. The file says that it was unrecoverable.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Is Malik, or has he been able to track and or locate Priestess Sholi?
I would say yes. You would know that Sholi has gone into hiding.
Mm-hmm.
And when she left her protege behind.
Mm-hmm.
They have been staying on board the Defiant pretty regularly. You would probably not know anything more than that because that's about the time you pieced out. So you don't know anything about them. You just know there was like there's a new crew member that's been there pretty much since Sewell was arrested and Sholi went into hiding.
Mm-hmm.
You might be able to get word with Sholi. There's a good possibility of that. If you wanted to talk to her about the Data Djinn, I would say she would have left all of you with a way to communicate with her. Maybe like a back network or something where you could leave a message and she could respond.
Yeah, something that, what's her name, set up, probably.
Yeah.
Tal's sister.
Yeah. Jalissa.
Jalissa, thank you. I think he sends a message through whatever this means is, obviously as encrypted as he can make it, and the message just contains two things. Obviously a way to get back in touch with Malik, that goes without saying, but it contains the word Osai, and then an image of one of the pages of the book. Like a section of the book.
Of the book. Are you saying the one with the actual, exorcism ritual?
The one that this dude was carrying. The dude on the Osai.
Yeah, I was about to say, well, he had a whole book full of things.
Yeah.
But the ones that were pinged specifically, it seems to be, were of interest, were the kind of exorcism ones. Okay.
Yeah.
You send that over to Sholi,
and it would be
no
like
response.
if the whole page is like a page of exorcism stuff, it would be like the one part of the page that says the word exorcism is the picture he would send.
Okay.
Because if she knows the book, she'll identify it by what it looks like, right?
Okay. Yeah. You get a message out through this, what is basically like a private forum board that has been set up, and now you just have to wait. You don't know when she'll get back to you, but you have put the message out at least. So we'll have to see. In your running of information, because the words you pinged were XR, OSI, so forth and so on. There is a vessel that is leaving from Coriolis to go to XR. Now, I would say that Malik would know this because it's part of the Algol system. XR is, like I said, a magnetized planet that is specifically used for junk. Getting to the planet is very easy. Getting off the planet is not. It is also rumored that one of the reasons why the Consortium tries to keep people off this junk planet is not because of pirates. They don't care if pirates take the junk, but it's because they have developed a metal-eating worm that consistently consumes. This is literally a recycling facility. This moon is being used to recycle junk out of the Third Horizon. And they do it by using an organism that eats metal. To get off the planet, you have to have a special ship that can reverse, magnetize itself. which basically when it reverses the magnetism, it launches you off the planet, is what happens. But it requires a special kind of ship, which means making a trip to XR is not going to happen very frequently. But the ship that's going is labeled the Corsair.
I know that ship name.
Yes, you do.
I know who owns that ship.
Yes, you do.
I am...
You know what? I'll say that's corruption bar number 1. Just getting to watch Mike deal with that information.
I mean, honestly, I'm of anyone, I'm on the best terms with them.
It's true.
Like
You are on the best terms with her out of anybody.
Like out of anyone on the ship, I am on the best terms with her. Yeah, I don't think, despite the hesitance on my face, I don't think Malik shares that. I think that there is another window gets pulled up. And he has her card, so he has direct contact to her.
You do.
And it's the least amount of encryption he can put on this thing, right?
Okay,
it's not like open. Yeah, it's just like, yeah. And it just says one line of text, and it just says 141 ? And he sends it.
1 for 1.
Mm-hmm.
This one comes back a lot faster. Coriolis is still not returned to you, but a few more hours pass. Again, what is time to you? You don't even know what's day or night anymore. I'm interested. What are you trying to get out of her?
1 for 1. It's a favor. You do me this favor, and I'll owe you one.
That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Dot.
That's exactly what you wanted.
Yeah, I know it is. That's all I needed. It pings back to you in just pretty much as short of a conversation. It gives you a stall, which is located in the core of Coriolis, in like a shopping district, where I guess maybe you could find her. So basically, there's a location that's given to you, and the response is simply says deal.
I think Malik starts hitting buttons, right? And you start to see things shut down. And then you see like file progress bars start to transfer on his primary computer, and they're transferring towards his tablet that he brings with him most places. The searching computer shuts down. The email computer shuts down, and he like looks over at the other one that's searching for Chalmarian and doesn't hit that button, and that one just continues to run. But he like reaches over and like cranks this like weird like archaic mechanism given all of the like the tech in his room.
Yeah.
And like the ceiling sort of like opens like an exhaust fan as he is on one of the highest floor, and like actual synthetic light begins to like bleed in from upper Coriolis.
Synthetic sunlight pours in, and you can see like the layer of dust and all of it that's been in here.
He like flips a switch, and you hear that like as the fan rims up, and then
sucking
he just
the clean air out. Or putting clean air, sucking bad air out.
He just starts piling up all of the shit all over the floors. Like he like looks at a few of them, throws them in the metal bin, looks at a few more, throws them in the metal bin, and then he reaches over, unplugs the data stick from Tamir, snaps it, like in episode 1, and throws that into the bin as well, and then continues to throw more of the trash around the apartment into it. And then you see him light a corner of it as he begins packing his bag.
I imagine that. Do you have like a special sling for the container? You're taking it with you, I'm guessing.
Despite what was seemingly ceremony of having it like centered on this very clean table, again, he's all left brain at this point in time, and he's bringing it with him, but not in a way that anyone would see. It gets stowed in his bag.
Okay. Yeah, you kind of just put it in. And again, I imagine this is like, it's almost like a soup thermos.
Yeah.
It's just about the size of a soup thermos.
Yep.
It's not anything massive, and it slides in the bag with the rest of everything. The data stick finishes, all the information goes to your data pad that you wanted. It finishes kind of filling, and maybe you hit that final button, and before you do, on the black screen of this like private chat, white letters begin manually like inputting themselves. It is Sholey. Or you think it's Sholey, or whoever is repping her. What would it say? Did you ask her specifically anything about Djinn, or you just sent her what you had?
It literally was just a picture of like the word exorcism from that book and the word Osai question mark. That was it.
I would think that a more personal message comes back from Priestess Sholey. And it probably says, I have only ever known one mystic capable of exorcising a human being. And they've never been exorcised of anything more than a little bit of darkness. You're going to need a very, very powerful mystic to do what you're thinking about doing. The final line says, "Good thing I left you with one." Sholey.
Malik has no idea what that means. He does not put two and two together.
You've not been around yet. You don't know, but that is her message back to you.
Interesting. Okay. I don't think he responds.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he responds. I think he finishes transferring the files and getting his stuff ready. And as the paper pile burns down in this trash can, there's like a second where he like catches a glimpse of himself for the first time in how long, and you just see him like annoyed, the same way he was when he picked up the letter, is as in like self-care is an inconvenience right now. But he realizes that what he looks like, and you see him grab another pile of the paper and throw it in the bin, and the smoke kind of gets wafted outside as he places the bags and prepared things that he has on the now cleaned couch. And then he walks to a door, hits a button, and then walks into the bathroom. And then it closes behind him for an indeterminate amount of time for him to not look like a hobo.
You come back out looking a little bit more like the Malik we know. Your food has gotten cold, and I imagine at this point you take it to go.
Yeah, I think he almost forgets it, and just sort of like reaches in the bag and grabs whatever's on top of it.
Yeah, whatever's on top, you take it to go. And I think as you close the door to your apartment, the last time we saw you leave this place was at the top of season 1. This is almost a little bit of a repeat. The door closes, we see you type in whatever code to lock it. And Malik walks off down a hallway, a few flight of stairs, and out into Coriolis for the first time in 6 months. It's so much louder than you remember. There are a lot of people and a lot of footsteps, and you quickly make your way. You've been on Coriolis long enough to know it backwards and forwards.
Actually, I think he kind of walks out in like almost a hangover, right?
Yeah.
Where the Malik we see is like he got whatever makes for gel, which like we don't know what that is, and he just kind of like slopped his hair back into like this weird loose ponytail, which is not an attractive look. And he has like buzzed off most of the beard. It's now like a short, still not great looking. It's not like manicured like his old one was, but it's like he cleaned it up. And he is obviously changed enough of his clothes. But he is wearing a far less fashionable jacket than previous. Basically if like like a space zip up, right? Like a Third Horizon zip up, and like jeans. What makes for like just super casual clothes. And he has his bag kind of slung over one shoulder, and I mean, it's the future, so why wouldn't there be? I think he has some kind of like wireless earbuds.
Yeah, totally.
Because it's so loud. Like, and he knows that it's going to be loud because he's been in like basically a soundproof room aside for the fans and whirs and clicks. But he definitely looks like he has a hangover. He has like some kind of sunglasses down. He has earbuds in, a bag over his shoulder, and as chat said, what makes for a space tracksuit. Basically, as he's walking towards.
God, you're in a depressed state in your life. Okay. And you make your way down.
I don't think it's even a depressed state. I think it's like I think it's almost like what the hell was his name? The Apple guy, right? Like he only wore a black shirt and jeans every day.
And jeans
it's
all
like
the time.
All of my brain computing power is going towards this thing, so I don't think about anything else. It's this. I just grab these 2 articles of clothes and put them on and
put
leave.
the thing on.
Yeah.
And so you adjust your bag. We see you pop in these earbuds to protect yourself from the noise, and it drowns out Coriolis that now becomes like a light hum of people, just like it was behind the walls of your apartment. And you make your way down towards the core to the main plaza. When you arrive, you find a small noodle stand, which is what is kind of pinged at the address given to you. There are 4 figures eating noodles. They too have bags at their feet. And a familiar figure, though this time she doesn't wear a dress. She doesn't wear the crazy white and black makeup. Her headpiece is missing. She's not performing. She too wears kind of a space jumpsuit. It hangs loosely around her very well-toned body. And it's kind of almost like strapped in at places, so it kind of bulges in this kind of odd way, but she makes it look extremely fashionable. It is, of course, the ever favorite Amira stands there with her crew. She sees you across the way and she gleans a smile. That's the moment you know it's her. That knowing smile. And she simply gestures for you to come over. All 4 of her crew make eyes at you.
Yeah, there's like the holograph that he wears on his wrist. He kind of like hits a button on it, and then you can hear he can hear like this like little whir noise in his ears as like whatever is the noise canceling sort of like lessens and dampens, so he can hear more of Coriolis. Of
what's actually,
so he can actually leave them in and talk to her. And he just sort of ignores the other crew members and just walks past them as if they don't exist.
They sip on noodle bowls, like one of them's like, you know, like shoveling noodles, but they're always eyes on you as you kind of walk over.
They are white noise.
Yeah, Amira looks you up and down, taking your new state in. She says, "You look thin. May I buy you some noodles?"
Sure.
She snaps, and the man that's running this tiny little noodle cart already has hot noodles for her. There's a strange power dynamic there. And she passes over a hot bowl of noodles to you. And she says, 1 for 1. And what is it that you need from me, Malik?
You have a ship. You're going to XR. I need transport.
Right. She kind of stops herself as if she knows the answer to that question.
I need transport to and from.
The 3 men stop slurping, or the 4 figures stop slurping noodles. She looks around and she says, "And what do you offer in return for such?"
1 for 1.
Says, "Well, I guess we were going anyways." It's a big favor you ask. And it's not a short trip, Malik. Now, Malik, you would know that.
It's an open-ended request. I'm not killing anyone, but it's an open-ended request.
Fine. We'll bring you along. You can tell the rest of the team does not like this idea at all. And she says, "As long as you don't get in our way, but I have to know why you're going."
There's a salvage I want.
Is it valuable?
To me. Hence the favor.
She kind of makes eyes at you again. It didn't really quite answer her question. And she says, well, it could be valuable to me as well. She looks around and she goes, where's your girlfriend? Won't she miss you when you're gone for 2 months?
There is, like, laser gaze and stone-cold silence.
She goes, oh, I'm sorry, Malik. Well, I guess we could give you a little company. You look like you could use it. She kind of makes an eyebrow at the rest of the crew, and she says, this is my crew, at least for this trip. Our pilot, she kind of gestures, engineer, and our 2 heavies, and they are heavy.
When do you leave XR?
In 2 hours.
No, not for XR. When do you leave XR?
When we get what we came for. Or when we get what we're going there for.
Give me a window.
It'll take us roughly... actually, I can do this math. I've learned how to calculate space travel time.
While she's doing maths, he just kind of looks at her again with that same kind of like steel cold like eyes, and he says, "We leave, we dock on XR. I deboard your ship. That's it. I'll be back on the ship before you leave."
She says, fine. It's probably going to take us a month there and a month back.
Okay.
We'll probably spend at least a week, if not 2, on planet, depending on how long it takes us to find what we are looking for.
I'm not helping you, unless that's your favor. I don't need to know what you're doing, and I'd like to keep it that way.
This is fine. I won't tell you, and you don't have to tell me. I get it. 1 for 1.
Perfect.
She says you might want to be more friendly to the crew, though. You'll be bunking with them.
He, like, looks over.
One of them smiles and is, like, missing teeth.
Yeah. Not that one.
They are not your crew. This is not the Defiant. This is, like, the bottom of the barrel space trucker.
My favorite.
Yeah, okay. And she says, great.
Not only are they space trash, but they're not even space trash that could afford Malik normally.
But she's got your ride, and you know that her ship has obviously got to be equipped for this, which makes it rather special. And she says, fine. Meet us at the net in 2 hours. You have a watch, don't you?
He, like, lifts his wrist up, and, like, the time pops up in the hologram form.
She says, good. You look like you've lost quite a lot of it. She slurps up a noodle in a rather promiscuous way. A final noodle. The crew watches, of course. She smiles because she loves it. And she looks at the 4 of them and she says, don't be late. Or I'll do what I did with the last crew. One of their eyes gets really big. You don't know what she did, but they look very scared.
Yeah, I think, man, Malik isn't one to make friends normally, but, like, as she leaves and isn't in eyesight of this disgusting act that's about to happen, he takes, I assume, a fork. He takes, like, a fork and sort of, like, stirs the noodles together, and then just, like, looks over, leans in, and gets as much of the noodles into his mouth, and then, like, slides the fork out, puts it back in the bowl, and pushes the bowl away, and just walks in a different direction, just chewing a mouthful of noodles.
I was going to say, one of the guys will probably stop you. Probably one of the heavies. A big hand sets on your shoulder. And he goes, you're not even going to introduce yourself, mate?
There's a pause and, like, audible chewing, right? As you can see him like a cow with cud. And then he just swallows. No. The
and
less
he goes, well,
I
let
know
me help you
about...
find some manners. He says, I am Dud. Why don't you tell us your name, kid?
The less I know about you and your crew, the better.
Another one, this is your pilot. He's a little slimier. He's like a little weaselly. His hair is like slicked back in this nasty, like unwashed, like greasy kind of way. And he says, "Oh, yeah?" And he says, "Well, you're going to be traveling on my ship. The least you can do is be nice. And I don't like the way you said crew. Boy."
Do these guys look like they look like they're bottom feeder space truckers, right? They don't look like they're in any kind of way affiliated with anyone, right? This is like she needed a crew. She scraped the bottom of the barrel, threw these guys together, and they don't know what they're doing either.
What do you know about her? Yeah, no, they definitely look like they're good at what she hired them for.
Mm-hmm.
Flying a vessel, engineering, like fixing things. There's like
Right.
a mechanic, he's in a jumpsuit, and then two heavies.
Right. But they don't look
know-
like they're organized. Like they're not.
No. They
Right.
didn't come on as like some marine crew or they
Yeah.
were working together before. She probably has a large group of pirates that she pulls from to do her jobs
Yeah.
right in the Corsair.
Okay. Yeah. So they look like scummy pirates.
Oh, they scummy. They space scum.
Okay. Yeah. I think. Who looks like they're in charge? The captain?
Yeah. He's a little, yes. I imagine they all like stand behind him because he's kind of quaint and tiny, but like he's flying. He's the pilot.
I'm trying to think of what Malik would say. I know what he's about to do, but I don't know what words are about to come out of his mouth right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of my talents.
Okay.
Fortunately, it's not a talent that nets you any darkness points, you dirty heathen.
That's okay. That's okay. I don't need any because guess what?
I don't want to
I
hear
have
it.
10. Thanks to Tao.
Great. I think he leans in very, very close, like too close to this pilot, to which I don't think he knows his name. And he's going to say,
himself yet.
right. And he's going to say something like directly into his ear that only he can hear, like in a whisper. And he simply restates, "The less I know about your crew, the better," was not a statement for me. It was a statement for you. And if you continue to press, I will delete you from Coriolis. And I'm going to use my talent,
Okay.
Faction Standing Syndicate Member,
Okay.
which gives me a +2 bonus to manipulate or threaten.
I was about to say you're definitely manipulating this guy.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
So they're going to get let me add a +2 here. And limited success.
Okay. He at first he probably bucks up a little bit, and like you're standing nose to nose almost in this space, and you can feel the two heavies are both all eyes on you, and he goes, "All right, but you can't expect us not to ask questions. We got 2 months together, kid. I get that you're hiding something." He kind of looks you up and down, eyes your bag. They are pirates, after all.
He takes a step back because like he was like chest to chest with this guy. He takes a step back, and he says, "Pilot, engineer," and just sort of like drags his finger over the two heavies.
Uh-huh.
"I'm your comms officer. I'll see you on the flight deck." And he takes a step back and waits a beat.
Yeah, he goes, "Finally, was it that hard?" As you know, you put some space between you, and he says, "See, I'm Osric, your pilot." He points, "You met Dud?" "Jace." He points to the other heavy, and he says, "And this is Aether, our engineer." Aether's a little bit non-gender specific, bald head, kind of goggles, these big goggles that make the eyes kind of look oversized, and a large kind of wrench, and I would say a like hand blowtorch is on a belt that hangs low on their waist. And he says, "I guess we'll see you then."
And he just takes another step back, turns, and starts to walk towards.
Jace goes, "Don't forget to bring your pajamas. We don't sleep in the nude."
Got it.
They seem unceremonious.
Yeah, he wends his way almost like when you walk through your house at the dead of night and you just know where everything is. That's how he approaches the bazaar. Is like whether things have popped up in the past X number of months that he's unaware of, he just continues winding through these paths that he's well worn over the course of the 3.5 years he's lived on Coriolis, and he beelines towards the net. He beelines towards the docking bays.
And there it sits, the Corsair. It takes you an hour of the 2 to get down there. Coriolis is massive, and there's a set of trams that run the centralized core and drop you from one place to another. It's like getting around New York City in space. You got to take the L train to cut across the city and be able to take a tram north, and so it takes you a while. Maybe you find some kind of comfort in being back in a mundane existence on Coriolis. There is something familiar about it, lost to 6 months of time in a dark little man cave. But you do make it to the net, and a sense of nostalgia washes over you, because at the dock where the Corsair sits, it is also the dock where you first saw the Defiant, a vessel ship. And all of these feelings of everything that you went through with the crew of the Defiant kind of washes over you. The fact you've not spoken to your brother in 6 months.
I feel like we have that cool movie scene, right, where he walks to these docks, and the same docking skiff where the Defiant was, there is another science freighter that is similarly shaped enough that at first glance it looks like it, and he stops dead in his tracks and looks to see a conveniently red-haired someone talking to someone else who's working on a part on the exterior hull, and he looks for a second, and then something passes in front, and then he can see that it's definitely not the Defiant. It's missing certain key features, and the engineer has a foot on Tamir, and the blonde the red hair was actually brown hair, right?
Exactly,
that convenient
it's
shift
exactly
as he
what it is. Yeah.
he lifts his glasses and kind of rubs his eyes, and then looks for the Corsair again.
And you kind of shake it off, and you see it, the Corsair there at the docks, and your heart stops thumping long enough for you to make it over. And you step on board. The Corsair is actually a little larger than Defiant. It is also a cargo-based ship, but it seems to carry, have a much larger carrying hold. It carries big stuff, which is maybe why you're headed to a junk planet. And if you remember correctly, the last time the Corsair was collecting things, that you remember, it was out in the dead of space in Hamura. From they were collecting all of those coffins of bodies out of space after the massive shipwreck that happened when they tried to pass through to Tawin. And on board the ship you go. You're followed very quickly, within minutes, by the rest of the crew, and she's standing there, doing her thing. Amira, she welcomes you on, and she says, "Well, there's no time to waste. We're next up in line, so to your stations."
Is the crew there as well? Or is she the only one outside the ship?
No, she was there and met you. You were first, and you were followed pretty promptly by the rest of the crew.
I think there's a slight spark of Malik as he's the first one there, and she says, "Welcome to the Corsair," or whatever. And he kind of looks at her, and then looks towards the deck, and is this your ship?
It belongs to a woman. Her name is Samina.
I won't touch anything. And then he boards the ship.
Yeah. She says, welcome aboard. It is a newer vessel than the Defiant, for sure. But it has had a lot of personal upgrades on the inside. You can tell they've added hidey holes and strange cargo spaces, and they've added a few drop pods, like launch pods, for escape, and those kinds of necessary things when you're, well, a pirate. And so the rest of the crew meets you. There's a small area where you gather in, like, this massive loading dock. I imagine it looks like the loading dock of the Serenity. It's like massive hatch that drops out the back that you could roll like other small ships into, or big crates. Very different than Tues, which is like a crane lift. That's how you get things on board. So
I like it.
Yeah. And she says, well, let us not stand on whatever this is. And she kind of gestures around. And she says, our goal is to fill this ship and come back. And she says, and if you don't, well, then I'm taking your pay. She says, oh, I'm sorry. I always come back. And she says, so take your stations. We're up in 10 minutes for our first prep to jump.
Malik, he walks to whatever the first bunk is and, like, drops his bag and slides it under the bed, and then heads towards the bridge and just slides into whatever the comms officer station is.
Yeah, there is a comms officer station. It doesn't even have a chair. You can tell she probably doesn't keep a comms officer very frequently on board the vessel. And you can tell that they're feeding information from the Coriolis, like, portal master, is putting in the algorithm for your jump. You're going to be getting, like, in line for the first one. You'll be jumping from Kua to a quarter of the third horizon, and I can't read it. Okay, yes. So it's called the Quadrant of the Pillar. You're going to be coming in on a corner of it to a system called Alt-I. Alt-I. And then you go Alt-I to Awadi, and then Algol is the next one. So you've got multiple jumps. And I'm just going to make a flat series of pilot rolls to see how successful these happen over a series of what is going to be weeks, because of course you make it through one, the ship has to stop, you have to prep, do it all over again. And so you spend a lot of time with this crew. They're not terribly bright. The engineer is, but the engineer is very quiet and does not speak much.
They're not terribly bright, Dot. What?
They're not terribly bright. Don't judge me.
Dot, I see them as, like, grease-stained in space overalls. Like, not like mechanical coveralls. Like, I see them in, like, straight-up farmer overalls. Like,
1, 2, 3. That's basically...
Yeah.
Oh, this is so bad. This is so bad. Okay, I'm gonna spend a darkness point to reroll, because I need you to actually get where you're going.
You know, what is it? Smoking Aces?
Yes.
You know the brothers that are like that's them. That's them.
Yes, exactly. That is exactly them. They are like she clearly found them, or they came here to Coriolis from some backwater planet.
Yeah.
So bad news, everyone. The first jump gets no successes. The second jump
cool.
gets no successes. The third jump gets 1 successes and 2 critical failures.
Cool.
This is so bad. Okay. Well, she might have hired this pilot, Osric, but he clearly doesn't know what the hell he is doing. Tal is a much better pilot, and you recognize that now that you've traveled with somebody that flies like Tal does. It is a very bumpy ride. On a regular basis, you think you might die. He cannot parallel park. He cannot pull into dock. Everything comes in too fast. More importantly,
I think the whole ride, like any crucial moment, there's like this, like, because I picture him like on a crate, right? Because there's no seat here.
Yes.
So it's very much like there's no stability when we're like lurching in space, and every time the pilot fucks up, like Malik just looks over at what was her name? Amira?
Amira.
Yeah, he looks over at Amira and then returns to the comm station, and then the keys start clicking again, and then it lurches again, and
I was about to say, she never loses face. Amira never loses face. She seems cool and calm as a cucumber, but you might see a bead of sweat, specifically on the second jump, because as you come out of cryosleep through the other side, you did from your second jump. Your plan was to go from Altai to this in-between space, or this in-between system before Algol, but it doesn't do that. Instead, you miscalculate, and you end up actually having to make, through this trip, the entire loop of the Quadrant of the Pillar to come back and do it all over again. Your month trip there now becomes 2.5 months there. The beard that you shaved is now grown back out. I wouldn't say that you get to know these people.
Yeah, I think there's like a level of like familiarity, like mannerisms that he picks up. Like, you know, this guy always does this one thing and then farts, right? Like he knows like these things to avoid, or like what it looks like when one of them is actually pissed off or going to be violent or drunk or whatever it is.
Exactly. Yeah. And it is there at the end, as basically you loop all the way. I can show this to you, actually.
Yeah.
I can show it to you. Let's ping it on the screen.
Chat, you can't see it because I didn't make a screen for this. So.
Sorry, chat. So you started at Kua. You were headed here, and you were going to take this road down, right? But instead, you ended up going to Ordana,
Ordana's,
to Sivas, and then back to and you had to do the whole loop over again, which basically tripled the trip in time. By this point, Amira is frustrated. This section of the Third Horizon, you know to be... Well, first off, you had to go to Zayu, which is the back end of the Third Horizon, and is part of a very dangerous area that was super freaking active. Was really, really active during the Portal Wars. Yeah. And you loop back down and around, and by this point, Amira is fed up. Finally, you come out of cryosleep, and you look out the port window. You've reached Algol. You see your home planet for the first time since you probably left it. It looks exactly the same. Same smoggy cloud around it. Same globe made of lights and flying vessels and satellites. It's Algol. And there off in the distance, you manually fly towards this ship. You hear the pilot, Osric, say, "Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to cross into the magnetized zone."
I think there's like a twinge of it's been 2.5 months. There are people here. Malik is feeling slightly more people-y, but there is a twinge of familial responsibility as he kind of passes into the Algol system, and as he's doing whatever his version of buckle up on this crate is, he sends an email. And it's not, like, encrypted, because we're in a system. It'll take time to get back there. But it's not as encrypted as it would be as if he sent it from, like, his personal comms. Okay. So it'll have, like, the Corsair's, whatever its make-believe designator is on it. Yeah. And he just sends it to the Defiant, to Tamir via the Defiant. Okay. And it just says, "I'm fine," period. And it's sent to Tamir.
Never tell him you're fine until you land on the planet. He has to make a landing roll, this pilot. At this rate. He got his success.
It was an emotional "I'm fine." I'm okay as a person.
And it sends out just in time for the yellow lights in the vessel, which are the caution lights, to start going off above your head. You can see the rest of the crew are basically strapping themselves to the wall. That is the seats. It's like this thing, and you click it in. It goes between your legs and over your shoulders, and it straps you to the wall of the vessel. That is this kind of ship.
Perfect.
You're all like, as it starts entering the area, and you immediately feel the planet as you cross into the magnetization zone. It grabs the ship and lurches it forward. Woo! Woo! The alarm starts going off. You can hear the pilot like, "Hang on, everybody!"
I mean, this feels like every other landing he's done. So how do I know the difference?
Sure. And you can feel it. it's almost unnatural, the rate at which the ship is being pulled. And you can hear Amira at one point go, "We've got to slow down." And he goes, "Let me drive." And she's like, "You fuck," and they're kind of arguing back and forth. And maybe your eyes are closed and you're just praying, you freaking.
Yeah,
man.
I think like his hands are holding onto the straps because I can only imagine that they're rickety. And like he pulls his hands as close together as possible and like hits that button again. And then you hear the boom as the two headphones like white noise out what's happening.
White noise, yeah, you're just trying to stay, like, meditate and stay calm, meditate and stay calm, and oh man, you finally land. You hear the crunching of metal against metal. The entire surface is covered in it. It juts at odd angles. Everything is unfinished. The ground itself is metal because it's just years worth of packed metal on top of packed metal, and finally the ship comes to like this grinding on metal sound. You can see the sparks flying as it bashes into the side of a rather large like heap of junk and finally comes to a halt. Amira unbuckles herself. She says, "Praise God." She says, "Drop the hatch and start collecting." And she looks at Malik and she says, "You have exactly 2 days. We're already over and we don't have at this point we don't even have enough food to get back to Coriolis."
He like I think he like reaches like I think at this point like at this landing he would have had his bag like ready to go on him like buckled to the seat. And I think he like reaches into it and like he just quickly swipes across the screen on his tablet, and like it sends her a message. It's like essentially his phone number,
okay.
and he basically says, "Give me an hour before you leave, and I'll make it back."
She kind of nods as if like, "Okay, good luck with that." Malik, I'm sure as you finish sending whatever this message is, you reach in the bag as well for a reassurance that the container is there. But, darkness is everywhere, and you've been at space a long time. It's missing from your bag. Darkness point number 2. Somebody has taken the canister.
He stops in his tracks, like leaving the bridge. Where is it? Just Amara or Amira?
It's Amira, and then you can see the pilot is probably like still shutting the ship down, like hydraulics. You can hear him outside, so he's in like the cockpit area finishing that up. The engineer is in the back with the 2 heavies, which are doing things like making space, dropping the back door, the hatchback door.
He stops in the door to the bridge, and he's still facing like as if he's walking out. And not even like turning his head. He just speaks to Amira. And he says, "I don't need to threaten you. And I don't think it was you. You're one of the smartest people on this ship. But I'm missing something. And I only have a few things."
She says, "I wish I had the patience to take that as a compliment. What are you missing?"
"Your crew of pirates has taken an object from mine."
"We prefer to call ourselves Corsairs."
"That's
You're
fine.
aboard this vessel."
"It's a small cylindrical object, about 10 inches long and 3 inches wide."
She raises a lewd eyebrow. "Well, Malik, I have
It
not
definitely
seen
wasn't
your
you.
container. If you would like to take it up with the crew, we have an open policy here aboard the Corsair. If it was taken from you, it must be given back, as long as you can prove it's yours."
Okay, dot, okay. Okay. Okay, dot, okay.
So, chat, don't you freak out on me. You're all the ones that wanted 3 corruption bars before we got started. Do not even at me.
He, again, still facing the same direction, reaches out and hits, like, the ship intercom.
Okay.
And says, "This is your comms officer speaking. You have 5 minutes to return the object you stole from me to the bunk that I slept in, or the entire Coriolis Space Force will await the Corsair upon return. Try me. And then he depresses the button.
Okay, I'm gonna have you make a manipulation roll.
Yeah, you are.
And then the person who actually did this is gonna have to roll against that to not feel guilty.
Man. So I'm confident. Malik is confident that it's not Amira. He's confident that she at least knows better.
I would say that your gut is probably right on that. This is not Amira's style.
Right. In that vein, because I assume the captain here, the pilot here, would have spread around what Malik told him. Does the syndicate still apply? Does that +2 still apply? I don't know how many times you can use a talent.
How about this? I would say, because you made that roll specifically to the pilot, if the pilot is the guilty one, so I'm going to have you roll it with the +2, and then I may take it away if it's not relevant.
Gotcha. Okay, so let me roll a +2 here.
I know that sounds silly, but
no,
it's
I
only
got
technically
you.
affecting one
I got
person.
you. Yeah. Limited success.
Okay, a limited success. This rings out and echoes down what is really an empty chamber of this cargo vessel. And you hear one of the heavies go, "What did he say? Well, I didn't take nothing. Well, I didn't take nothing." And then I imagine the pilot goes, "Would somebody just come clean? I know that one of you took it." And now they're bickering over the comms as to who took the thing. Do you go back to your room? What are you doing amidst this? They're beginning to cause a little bit of chaos. He's like, "No, I'm telling you, man, I didn't take nothing."
No,
the other one's like, push and go.
Malik's intent was that this could be potentially amnesty. And he stands there in the same spot, to which I assume Amira would probably find very amusing. And he just stands there and waits, and waits, and waits. And then he hits the button again and says, 4 minutes. And then lets go and just stands there and continues to wait.
And you wait, and you wait. And it's actually the smaller sound of footsteps, quiet feet. The feet of the engineer. That come around kind of a private corner. And their hands are behind their back, and I would say for the first time in months, you hear this person speak. And Ather says, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. It was... I've never seen one before." And they pull the canister from behind their back and very openly hand it back to you. They seem to have knowing eyes of at least what this was. Maybe not what it is now, if that makes sense. That maybe they knew it for its use as an artifact. And as somebody that is a tech-savvy person, very tech-savvy from what you can tell, they were interested, I think, in it. And they, as they kind of pass it over, they never make eye contact with you. They go, I didn't do anything. I just ran some diagnostics on it."
He takes it and, gently places it in the bag, and then looks at them and says, "It's been used. It's purely sentimental."
Oh. Their eyes kind of, go to the ground again. They don't say anything. They seem rather ashamed that they took it. And maybe as you go to walk off and actually hit planet proper, they kind of peek their head around a corner and for the first time pull these kind of goggles off, and you see their actual eyes. And they simply say, "Be careful. It's unstable."
He glances over his shoulder. Again, this same dead-eyed look, and he just says, "I'm well aware."
But and he says, "Here," and hands you what looks like what we would consider a receipt, like a long light strip of paper that came out of a small like old like little DOS printer or something, and hands it over, and seems to be some data which you would know immediately.
Mm-hmm.
It probably came off of not even a HUD deck or some kind of data pad, but like this is the kind of readout you get when you check like electricity currents and circuits and those kind of things, and making sure none of the rest of the crew are around because they have a feeling that if they knew what you're carrying, there would be problems. And they don't seem to want to rat you out. That is not the purpose of this. They pass it over and kind of crumple it in your hands, and Ather just says, it's nuclear. And points to the data, and you see it, that there is a repeat pattern that's showing in the data that it is fluctuating. And that, given its current state, it could explode, like actually go nuclear to some degree. And Ather simply says, maybe 4 months max. Whatever you do, don't drop it.
I think, like, with the crumbled paper in his hand, Malik kind of, like, lashes out, seems like too violent of a word, but he definitely grabs Aether by the wrist. Not aggressively, but, like, he, like, quickly grabs him.
They shrink a little bit. This person shrinks a little bit. I'm sure they don't have physical contact much, and what they've probably had has not been kind.
Right. This isn't kind, but it's not mean either.
Right, yeah.
And Malik just coolly says, that's what I'm here to prevent. And then there is, like, a glimmer of a crack. And you see, like, just a slight heartbeat of life return to his eyes. And he says, thank you. And then lets go. And just walks away.
And you see Ather watch you leave as you step onto the planet, which is breathable air. You don't have to wear like a proper spacesuit, but here it is windy and metal particles and dust just rain in the air. It beats against the side of other metal pieces. You can feel it tear at your skin. You probably have to pull your sleeves down or put a jacket on if you don't already have one. And you're definitely going to want to have some kind of basic mask, which was probably provided to everybody on the crew, that you wear so that you have you're breathing in less metal particles, which will literally kill your lungs.
And he for sure takes the shemagh off and like rewraps it so that it's like over his eyes to keep the dust out of actually hitting him in the face, and up over his mouth, to act as a secondary layer to whatever the breather apparatus is that he's wearing. But yeah, he kind of has it as a headdress, and begins to head out into the dust fields.
How are you tracking this? Because this is an entire moon.
That's the thing, Dot. I don't know, but I do think there is a comical scene for a second where like he gets far enough away that like the Corsair it's visible, but it's like a speck on the horizon, right?
Yeah.
Where he's confident no one can see him, and he's in like a small enough clearing, like, you know, surrounded by debris and detritus, and he kind of like sits down and begins to like move several of the things out of his bag, all of them useless for this kind of thing, really. And as he's, like, looking at the bag and, like, just running, like, a finger across the tablet trying to, like, figure out what's going on, there's, like, son of a bitch. I just fucking... And then... Oh, God. Where is Tamir? Oh, God. No. And then he, like, piles things back into his bag and throws it back on and continues walking.
And you continue walking.
Because, like, this is his strong suit.
No direction and no purpose. You have 2 days to search an entire junk planet for a vessel that was lost 60 years ago.
Yeah.
60 plus years ago, really.
Yeah. I think what he's doing is... oh, man, I forget what this item actually does.
I was about to say, so you have a few options. Okay, go ahead.
So I think the things he was like sliding across the data pad were several of the things that he was running back home. It's very poor math, right? But he saw video of this ship crashing. So he's trying his best with shitty video and like line of sight, which is like impossible on a planetary level, to triangulate where this could be. So he's input like a random set of variables here, and then like another one of random set of variables. So he's
Maybe
running.
You can even go back and rewatch the video.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you
sure.
could even like hit, because you have that data, right? So you're like, okay,
yeah,
let's do this the same way that you did it when you were trying to go to Kua, the way that Tamir tried to do it, where you kind of triangulated based on what you could see to what you knew. And so I am... How do I want to have you do this? Okay, well, first off, you watch the video, and this time something sticks out to you. Last time you were just trying to take it in. This time, you see as the vessel comes in, whoever this first person is looking out like the pilot seat, like over the cockpit and out the front window.
Yeah, I think he's actually watching it this time, as opposed to like looking for data.
Exactly. You're like, okay, let's slow down. And so you really watch it for content. And this time you see as the ship comes in out of the atmosphere and begins like plummeting towards Earth, and it clears up enough for you to see there's a massive spire that juts out of the ground not far from, and it's huge, probably part of an old space station. When I mean spire, I mean like spire. And you watch as this vessel plummets towards it and probably actually crashes into this spire.
Do I see the spire by chance?
Good question. From here, do you have anything on you other than your eyeballs that can help you with this roll? Because I can have you roll an observation to start.
I mean, yes, kind of. I don't think it will help with this roll. I think it might help with like the next thing. Once I see it, I think that will
help you.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start with just an observation, and let's see if you see it on the horizon, because here's the thing, junk is stacked everywhere, and it's really not easy to walk. You're having to, like, dodge through pieces here and dodge through pieces there.
Two successes.
2 success. You got to get higher.
Yeah.
Junk is piled over your head, and so you start kind of climbing to get a better viewpoint of what is out there, and you kind of peer, and off in the distance you think you see it. It's quite a ways away. It is not close, and you've got a lot of junk between you and there. And if you're going to make it in 2 days, it's going to be really tough, especially because you got to come back, right? Which means you got 1 day to get there, find what you need, and 1 day to come back. And while you're up here on what is just a stack of, maybe an old, I don't know, like an old vessel of some kind, or some old junk that was peeled off the side of a ship, and you're looking out, you hear something from behind you. It was a high enough observation roll that your senses are heightened, and from behind you hear this crunching of metal, the sound of it being like scrunched and then chewed up. And if you turn around, you see something quite extraordinary. The average person may not call it a worm. It's more like a salamander. It's more like a salamander, and it's huge. And it's just sitting there, and it's just like munching away, ripping away with its mouth pieces of metal, and just munching.
Does it look like it moves fast?
You don't know, because right now it seems to be in like eating. It might even look up at you. It's got now like maybe an old weapon or gun like hanging out of its mouth, and its big tongue, which you see is like made of some kind of alloy, laps out around it and just like crunches, like curls that gun into its gullet, which now kind of gets big like a frog as it like continues to chew this metal.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much quietness that Malik can have on a metal planet. But he's going to, as quietly as he can, like, slide down this mountain of metal, away from this thing.
Okay. You kind of slip down, basically the way you came, because it's kind of on the back side. It doesn't seem to notice you, or if it noticed you, it doesn't care. You were told that there were worms here that eat metal.
Yeah.
You are yourself not made of metal.
Right.
I would say it's twice the size of a Komodo dragon. It's probably from tail to nose about 12 feet. Think more like an alligator size, like a big crocodile, like huge.
Okay.
You could ride this thing if you wanted to, Malik. It's that big. Did the tapping stop? I don't know what that is, y'all.
It seems to. For now.
Okay, cool.
How far away does this thing look?
I mean, you would come off the other side of the junk pile and be very close to it.
No, the spire.
Oh, the spire. I would say that you could run some data on. You kind of try to get a trajectory.
Yeah.
5 miles.
Oh, okay. I mean, the terrain's rough, but 5 miles is. I mean, granted, he's
you could
weak.
do it in a day. You could do it in a day.
Yeah, I mean, 5 miles you can do in like an hour.
Maybe you can.
I mean, I walk 2 miles in 45 minutes now, so
It's
take
not,
me.
Yeah, but you're also on flat. You're talking like you're going to be crawling through.
Yeah.
And like it's a whole different ball.
Right. I imagine it would take like at least half a day to get there. That's not. I mean, by Malik's calculation, a half a day to get there and then a half a day to get back. That leaves him with the better part of a day to search for the thing he's trying to find. I don't think, while I would love to ride a giant space worm towards the spire, I don't think Malik processes that information. It's too ridiculous for his brain to even comprehend. I think he quietly gets away from the worm thing, and then like he'll cinch his bag tighter so that it moves less. Okay. And then he just starts like running.
Trying to traverse the terrain.
Yeah.
Okay. This is actually going to be a roll. This is actually just going to determine how quickly you get there.
Sure.
There's like a dexterity roll. So let's do that if you've got it. If not, just roll a flat agility.
Yeah. Let me see here. Do I have anything at all that could help me here?
I would also take a wits roll, like a survival roll, if you wanted to try to make it based on survival. Which would be like, what's my quickest route versus how quickly do I get there?
I guess the question is dependent on this answer. Would the fact that I have hyper rope help me in any way of traversing this place?
It's not gonna help you right now, but it sure would help you when you have to climb that spire in a little bit.
Then I will make a survival roll.
Okay, let's see if you can just be like, okay, instead of trying to go like, what's the most direct route, basically.
Limited success.
Oh, it's super hard to tell. Do you have any technology?
I have plenty of technology. None of it's useful right this second, though.
No. I mean, do you have technology as a?
Oh, no.
You have no technology. You have no science side.
Nope. Data Djinn, culture, and MetaCurge is what I have for advanced.
Oh my god, you're a mess. Okay.
I'm not the science boy.
Quietly or silently, or are you just trying to get there?
No, he's just trying to get there.
Great.
Like, compared to the rest of the planet, like, Malik has a tablet, a gun, a wristwatch, and, like, rope. So, like, the amount of metal he's carrying on him seems... At least, that's what he knows. Like, there's metal-eating worms, right? So he's like, the metal-eating worms aren't going to bother me because I don't have metal. So he's just sprinting. Yeah, he's sprinting as quickly as possible.
I mean, there's nothing saying there ain't other living folk
on
the planet. But,
and of course, he didn't research any more of that. He's for sure sprinting. I would say that it
takes you the better part of a full day to get there.
Mm-hmm.
You crawl through the hulls of old vessels, of space train cars, of pieces of space stations. You see everything here is metal, so you're not finding like anything, a whole lot of personal stuff. This is more just the leftovers that have been forgotten by the battles in space. And finally you come to the base of this massive spire, which you see does in fact attach itself to a massive space station that must have crashed here who knows how long ago. It's not any technology that you recognize, so it definitely had to be part of possibly the first horizon. And as you look up, you can see it like it's like leaning kind of like a skyscraper, where that ship Osai had smashed in and is partially sticking out of this kind of like pillar type tower. It is up rather high.
This is where Malik's technology comes into play. And he like reaches behind him and slides out the pistol from the back spot that he keeps it in. And then he kind of like lowers his bag down. You see him like rummage through a few things. And he pulls out this like weird magazine. And sort of like checks the 5 rounds that are in it, and he ejects the magazine from the Vulcan pistol and slides this one in, and sort of drops the rounds into his bag. And then he fires at the ship. And what I'm firing at the ship is a ballistic cartograph. So what it does is it fires a bullet, and in a short distance from wherever the bullet hits, it basically sends me a whole-ass map. It's basically sensors that transmit a 3D image of the whole area within a short range of impact to my tablet.
Okay. Interesting. It like maps the upcoming space for you. That's very cool. Okay. Do you need to roll, or does it just do it?
It just does it. It's an advanced item that you let me have.
It was an advanced item. It shoots up, and you see it almost like a flare. It like dives, and it touches the top of the vessel. What little bit is like poking out of the Osai, and then the rest of the spire, and almost like a blue ether kind of like pans around all of it, and then when it dissipates, it feeds that information to your data pad.
And he has, so I have 5, it comes with 5 rounds, so essentially I'm going to fire until I have a complete like wireframe map of the area. Like I'll keep shooting.
Do you want the full spire, or do you just want the Osai? I
have to climb it, so I want as much of it as possible, so I can like sort of look for structural integrity of where I can climb. So basically he's getting as much of the ship and like below the ship as he possibly can. So I have up to 5 rounds to do that.
I would say it takes you at least 3 to map this. Because you get 1 with the spaceship, 1 with kind of like the middle tier area, and then the lower tier, which is still, you're looking at, you know, this is the height of the Empire State Building.
Right.
And this is, 2/3 of the way up smashed in. And so you map it all out. What you see is that this was definitely an arm of a much larger vessel, which you don't map, but you can see kind of feeds into the ground. This spire is meant to be like this. So all the rooms, when it poked out from the sides of the vessel, when it crash landed, it tipped like this, and so it's actually going to be very difficult to climb from the inside because all the doors are the wrong way. That you may actually have more success, structural integrity too, climbing the exterior of it. Okay. More importantly, does this pick up on organic life? Or just structural?
So it says the cartograph is a small unit connected to a computer or a tablet. It comes with a tiny pack of missiles that fit the Vulcan weapons and spread a cloud of microsensors. When they hit a solid object, the sensors then transmit a 3D map of everything within a short range of the impact back to the home unit. So you can decide that, I guess?
Yeah, I think it's probably hard to see a whole lot of what's inside, but there does seem to be some organic life on the inside of this spire, not the vessel. And you can tell that like the organic life stops where the vessel crashes if it's anything's unable to get higher up in the spire because the ship kind of cut it all off.
Gotcha.
But there's some kind of organic life living, and I wouldn't say it's like bodies moving. They don't look human, but there is something residing inside of this.
Okay. Man, he's not prepared to fight anything, but also he doesn't have a choice. So I think he's just gonna go. I think he'll look around because it's a metal planet, and he's gonna find like the hookiest thing to fashion some sort of like makeshift grapple, and he's just swinging it by hand and trying to climb up there.
This is an athletics check. And you may have to. You're gonna have to do this probably a couple times. And you can see the spire. There are a few landings or pieces of metal that have eked away from it that you could climb up to, stop there, toss it again. But it's gonna take you some time. So let's get an athletics roll.
Yeah. Okay. I will say that he has used the tablet to transfer the wireframe map to his personal hologram.
Okay.
And so like he can just kind of stop and like a boop, it like appears as whatever that looks like. So dexterity, I assume, is what you meant.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I have a +1 from the hyper rope. So
Yes, you do have a +1 from the hyper rope for sure.
let's see. 2 successes.
Look at you go. Man, Malik's found purpose. You toss it and it hooks, and we see Malik once, twice, 3 times toss this hook, climb this wire up to a landing, and toss it again. And this little Malik gets tinier and tinier as he gets higher and higher up. When you reach the vessel, you're able to kind of swing around and slide in between the OSI and the actual like damaged part of the ship where it's like crashed in, to kind of slip in. Based on when your feet kind of land, the whole thing kind of like eeks and cracks as if it's like still teetering after all this time of possibly dropping. You can see that the front end of the ship is heavily damaged. The cockpit itself is pretty much smashed nose into this area. You see what's left of the bones of the pilot.
Dope.
Yeah, but you are able to enter that vessel, like kind of crawl in if you wanted to.
I think because he's aware that there is some kind of a life form, or many life forms. I'm trying to do the math. How long is 5 meters? It's several feet for sure.
It's like 15.
Yeah, it's something like that. It's 16 feet. Okay, cool. So like once he has a stable kind of balance, he again like obviously coils up the rope because he's not gonna need it for right now. Kind of like slings it over the bag, and then you see him rummage through things, and he pulls out what looks like a tinier version of the hyper rope, except it's this like weird metal tube, and he just starts to uncoil this thing, and he has a fiber scope. From season 2 that is connected now to the base of his tablet, and begins to slide this thing around, and on the tablet it's watching like a colonoscopy.
Okay, it's like a pipe. It's like a pipe.
Yeah,
like
so,
what plumbers use.
Exactly, like the snake camera. But he has 16 feet of it, and he's moving this thing around and controlling it on the pad.
The snake cam actually, it's not as rigid as like a pipe cam. This is higher end technology. It weaves like a snake in and out. You see that whoever the person was whose eyes you were looking through is also there. They took a large piece of rebar or metal through the chest, and the rest of their skeleton like hangs there with it still through the chest of whoever this person was. You continue to snake back, and at the very, very back of the vessel, which is probably... This is a transport ship, not a cargo vessel. So this has, like, seats and things. Strapped in the very, very back seat of this ship is a skeleton that is clinging to a book, a tome. The same tome you're looking for. So far, you don't see anything in here that's moving about. Everything seems to be, like, properly dead. The same strange symbol of 2 lines crossing hangs around the neck of the man that was speaking, and like I said, it still kind of clings. It's almost like strapped in under the seatbelt with them. Their arms still bound around it after 60 plus years.
Gross, I hate that. Judging by the wireframe maps, obviously he doesn't actually have any kind of structural integrity readouts on this thing, but judging by the wireframe mapping of this area, what is can he attempt to figure out the likelihood of this thing collapsing or sliding down? Yeah.
As long as nothing like were to tip the vessel, like I don't think your body weight would, but like as long as nothing were to say heavily weight the back end or push from the front, you should be fine. It's just kind of like it's settled at this precarious way.
Okay.
I'm still gonna have you roll
Yeah.
a dexterity as you enter the vessel.
I think, how far back is this guy?
He's at the very opposite end, the very tail end of the ship. You're gonna have to go all the way to the back.
Okay. Is it a big ship?
I would say it's about half the size of Tues. It has exactly what it needs: cryo sleeping pods for jumping, seats for people to sit in, a very small mess area, which is really just a countertop area, people probably, and then some like a shared bunking area. This is for moving people and jumping from like planet to planet to planet. Does that make sense? This is not really meant for the kind of travel that, say, the Defiant is.
Right. I'm trying to figure out how much hyper rope
I still got one corruption bar to spend, chat.
I know.
I got plans for it too. The real question is, which one do y'all want?
Oh, I have so much rope. Okay, yeah, no. I'm going to... I thought it was like 10 feet of rope, you know, like it's D&D. No,
no.
It's 50 meters of hyper rope.
Of it,
I have like a mile of rope.
I imagine it looks a little like floss. And
Yeah,
it comes on
yeah.
a spool like floss, and you get a ton of it.
Like spider silk, yeah. I think he'll look for one of the, like, the what he thinks is the most structurally sound jutting of metal outside the ship, and then tie off to that, and then make an anchor point and tie off to himself, and then begin to kind of slowly like let himself out as he moves down.
You basically belay down this, like down it, because it is at a little bit of an angle, and you've attached yourself that way. If the ship falls, hopefully you don't.
Right.
And you work your way down until you're in this area with these seats, and you can see him. Whoever this man was. Like I said, the symbol's still around his neck, clinging to a very dusty, very damaged book.
You know, Dot, I saw videos once. What does this guy look like?
The first time you saw this man, he's a very fatherly type figure.
No, like right now. Is he just a skeleton
he's
here?
A skeleton. He's a corpse. Yeah.
I think there's a second where Malik like reaches out towards the book and then immediately like recoils his hands and is like flashed back to the mining station in the Hamura, not in the Hamura, in the town system.
Yep.
And he like reaches out and like just grabs a scrap of like metal or something that's around and just sort of like knocks the skull off this guy's head.
Yeah, you nick the skull and it goes like flying and it hits the side of the wall and actually cracks and crumbles.
Yep.
You can tell it's been here a while, and you can even undo the seatbelt if you want.
He doesn't. He just wanted to make sure this thing's dead and not going to come up and attack him.
It doesn't look like it's an undead of any kind, even in your panic.
Yeah, he'll reach out and then like grab the book very unceremoniously of this dead guy that he just beheaded. And he just sort of
his arms like crunch and dust a little bit, and like fall and clatter to the floor. You can hear it echo throughout this empty vessel, and the book is in your hand. You can see there's a little fire damage around the end there, and you can see maybe on the wall where there was an internal fire when this first like landed or crash landed.
Yeah, I think he like takes the book and like puts it, you know, in his bag, right? And then he like grabs the hyper rope and starts to like come back, and then he like looks. And there's like that like pensive moment, and he just sort of like leans, still holding onto the rope, and just sort of grabs that pendant and just sort of gives it a tug.
Yeah, you pull it from the neck. There is no head anymore. It kind of snaps the rest of the spine, and it dangles from a metal chain that is very rusted at this point. And it, like I said, is a strange symbol that you do not know, of two lines crossing one another.
Yeah, he doesn't know, but he's sure that Sholey might, and whatever that's worth to her. But yeah, he tucks that in the bag as well and sort of secures his bag around all these new bulky objects, and slowly begins to pull himself back up the hyper rope, slowly and carefully.
And you begin to pull yourself back up the hyper rope. I'm going to spend another 2 darkness points.
You want to just spend that corruption bar, Dot? Why don't you just...
I got plans for that.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
I think the chat will really hate me when I'm done with that one.
Cool.
So I'm going to spend 2...
I don't understand, but I found something else.
Hey,
you're
stop.
going
Do you know
to
what comics
understand.
means?
Hey, Google.
No.
Stop.
You stop it, Google.
Wow.
That's
Rude.
a different timeline. You begin like pulling yourself up, and you hear something from beneath you. The same kind of crunching sound. This time much larger. And it's getting closer.
The same kind of crunching sound, but larger.
Crunching and consuming of metal.
This is a people mover, you said several times, not an object mover.
This is a people mover. Now the ship itself is made of metal, but
yeah. I was looking for something heavy that would be in here, but if it's a people mover, it wouldn't be.
Malik.
Oh God.
As you're almost out of the front of the ship, and this sound is getting like closer and closer. You see at the crunched in cockpit that the main like box, data box is still intact.
I see what you're doing, Dot.
Mm-hmm.
I see what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like a mommy-sized crunching sound.
Wow. Okay. I see what you're doing here with things that you think Malik wants.
I'm just tempting him.
Yeah, I know.
I just need to know if he stops to pick it up or not.
He doesn't. You know what? He doesn't. He is here for a one-track purpose, and nothing about what he watched or what he skimmed is
made you want that information.
Made me want to know about this ship.
Great.
I want the book, and the captain's log does not tell me how to, exercise a fucking demon djinn out of my space girlfriend.
Okay. Okay. And so you hesitate just a moment. Mm-hmm. You might even consider reaching for it, and you have that reasoning. We see Malik reason that there is something, a prioritization happens, and Malik grabs his the rope again and finishes pulling himself out. As your feet land back on kind of the open area of this part of the spire, that crunching sound is right in front of you. It feels like it is right under your feet. And you immediately see something from beneath's mouth grab hold of the front end of the Osai. And it begins munching it. And as it takes a bite out of it, literally like a bite out of an apple, this massive like mouth of this, again, this whatever this worm-like creature is, the worms that they call it, these metal-eating worms, as it bites the vessel, it changes the weighting. And the whole vessel begins sliding.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm dumb and you
Mm-hmm.
like drama. The vessel itself, obviously it's crash landed and it's been here for X number of years. How sturdy did the vessel look?
Other than the crunched in front end, it was pretty sturdy. Now, will it work? That you don't know.
No, that's not what he's concerned with. But it's going where he needs to go.
Mm-hmm.
So
and it begins like.
Yeah, I think there's a second where like he just like it's too far, so he just cuts the end of the hyper rope, and then jumps back in the ship and like scrambles towards one of the seats and buckles himself into the seat.
Okay. I love this. You make that moment of like, well, first off, it's either going to be the ship jumps and then you're going to be left with this massive creature,
worm thing. Yeah.
Worm thing. So you dive.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to need a roll for this.
Yeah.
Again, it's not to not get in. It's going to be like, do you take damage? Do you manage to get buckled up?
What do you need? A dexterity, I assume?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to assume that my rope no longer helps me. Remove
it
that
does
point.
not.
Let's see what happens here.
Okay.
One limited success.
Okay. You buckle yourself as the end of this or the tip of this vessel frees itself from the spire. The front end of the ship is now missing, so it's open air, and you fall for quite a while. And you click it just as the entire vessel smashes to the ground. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What did you do with your bag?
I think
holding it?
at the risk of Malik being injured, the bag is what gets buckled in. It's like
it's like you in the bag.
It's the same way that the priest had the book. So it's like the bag is on his chest and he's buckled over it, which means it's less safe for him, but
almost
the bag will stay.
parallel. Yeah, almost a parallel. 60, 70 years later, there is no more priest there, no more skeleton holding a tome. Instead, Malik sits in this seat, buckled in, the exact same position, now holding the thing that he cherishes most, along with the tome, tightly. Malik, this is a massive ship. Like crash is what this is.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have to survive this.
Yeah.
This is gonna be a thing.
Okay.
Okay. Are you wearing any armor?
I am. Well, I mean, I guess not.
Okay.
I guess not, because I gave my armor to Lamara, and she's inside of a jar. So.
You did. Okay. Guess what?
One success.
One success for, like, really, that's like the kind of like the damage roll. Okay, so the good news is it crashes. You see the massive creature head like peer out of the spire down at you. I'm gonna say, Malik, because you succeeded on getting buckled up.
Sure.
You take some minor scrapes and bruises.
Okay.
Maybe even like a piece of the vessel like collapses in and crushes your hand a little bit. So
now
you've got maybe a broken knuckle or
Yeah.
like some beat up stuff. You've not taken a whole lot of injury. And
Okay.
we watch Malik grab the tome, grab his bag, and begin the trek back. You are exhausted at this point. It is now dark on this moon, which makes it twice as hard to really navigate anything.
Yeah, I think...
You stop?
I don't think he stops. I think he stops for a second and reaches into the bag, and you just see him, like, crack open another pack of whatever he was eating in his apartment. And he just, like, throws them in like Skittles and chews them.
Pocket egg rolls as
well. No. The bucket of pills.
You take... Okay.
Yeah, he cracks open this, like, this metal casing on these tablets and throws them in and chews them like baby aspirin. And then... he like cuffs his left sleeve like up to like the crook of his arm, and it hits a few buttons, and then the holograph, just sort of a holograph, probably the spire, right? That's the most recent one, just appears. And because it's a holograph, it projects a small amount of blue light, and he's just holding the bag and like holding his arm out to project any kind of light in front of him so he doesn't like fall in a hole.
It takes you a while. At night, these metal crunching creatures, they don't eat. They sing to one another.
Gross.
A croaking of kind of a massive gullet as they sing across this junk planet. It echoes on metal, and it's rather eerie. The planet is never silent. And you traverse, and as the sun comes up the next day, you can see it. Maybe a half a mile off the Corsair. But your gut drops because the Corsair is not on the ground. It's taking off. I will burn the last corruption bar. They left early and without you. And at the end of our campaign tonight, we find Malik stranded on a junk planet. Would you like to do anything before we close out? You could potentially say get a message to your brother and Tao to come pick you up.
I
It'll be a month before they can come get you.
I would. The Defiant can't take off from here. It doesn't have a reverse polarity. A reverse polarity drive.
I would actually say you see that happen. You watch the vessel, and it like shot puts it into. I mean, they do have a patron. They could get it for you. It might take some time.
I would like to do.
How about this? I'll give you two options. You can try it. You can try to run it down. Or you can try to get a signal out to Tao. You get one of two rolls. Or you can do something else if you have a better idea.
I do have a better idea. So previously, I had emailed Tamir from
I'm fine. I'm fine, you said.
From the Corsair, meaning that it had the Corsair's tagline in it, or its ship identifier.
Yes.
I'm going to give you a darkness point, I hope. And I'm going to use the Faceless One's talent to change a single concrete detail in a scene to my favor.
Okay.
Despite what I said to Amira, the irritation I faced with the shitty crew wore through to Malik, and he did hack the Corsair.
Okay.
So what I would like to do, instead of sending an email to Malik, I'm going to send an email to the Coriolis station. Marking all of them as criminals and thieves of XR. Wanted.
Okay.
Marking the ship, so that if Malik sees the wanted poster, he knows that that's the ship that Malik was on.
Okay. So, my understanding is you're basically putting out a signal to Coriolis to label the Corsair as space junkers and illegal pirates from this location.
Yep.
To inform Tamir.
Yeah, I mean it's like a, I assume it's like, I don't know how when I see like Coriolis things, I think of like when frickin' Shepard walks across and it's like, this is my favorite store, right? Like everyone sees the alerts for like wanted criminals kind of thing,
course,
right?
Yeah.
So like in the hopes that Malik will at one point, or sorry, Tamir or somebody on the Defiant will see the, oh, that's a wanted criminal on the ship that Malik was on, and hopefully Tamir makes that connection. But if not, I guess I live on a junk planet.
Ship?
Yeah.
Okay. So, we'll say you're going to be able to get out a couple messages over the next few days.
Okay.
But the one that you get out today is labeling the Corsair as a junker pirate ship. They're going to struggle to be able to land back at Coriolis, probably.
Oh, he'll even take out like the fucking the fiber scope and like just point it at the Corsair and like take still frames on his tablet and attach them to the wanted thing. You left me on a planet and Malik just got real petty about it.
I know he did. Okay. And he's now basically branded the Corsair as what they are, which is space pirates. I imagine that over the next month, let's see, it took you 2.5 months to get out here. Tal and Tamir won't be back on dock for at least another 2 weeks after you arrive. So we'll say that it's almost another 2 months because they need ship upgrades and they have to make the jump successfully. Eventually, they make the necessary upgrades and they do come and save you. But we'll have to find out later about that journey to save you and what Malik undergoes 2 months on a junk planet.
Yeah, right?
Starving, having to find, say, food.
We're eating worm tonight, baby.
You might be eating worm. Hell, you might make a worm friend.
Yeah.
Or two. But Malik is currently lost to a junk planet. At least at the end of 2.5 months. Almost 9 months. 9 months. I would say it's probably 10. Maybe 11 before they actually come and get you. And Malik may never be the same. But you have your container. You keep it safe. And you spend quite a lot of time digging through an ancient tome. It is, like I said, a scrapbook. Pages from other books have been pulled and put into here. An old language that you don't know, that you've never seen before. Most of this is written in. Multiple languages that you don't understand. They talk a lot about a god, not an icon. At least from what little you are able to make out. These seem to be stories, and some of them rituals, old ancient pages of handwritten beautiful art. But this is beyond you. But what you do note near the back of the book is a ritual. And you know that it is the ritual you need because the cross, or the symbol that you pulled from the neck of the priest, is sketched into this book as one of the key things needed to make it work. And finally, as your brother and Tao rescue you off this planet, a third figure stands in the doorway of the Defiant. They are large, and I don't mean rotund, I mean tall and muscular. They wear robes, and are a rather beautiful woman. This must be what Sholey left you.
I think, like, he's been on this planet for so long, and again, much like being in his apartment for months, there hasn't been much need to talk other than to, like, live or not go insane. I think you see this, like, what we saw was, like, hobo Malik, and now you see, like, survivor Malik, where, like, the beard is now, like, it's braided so it doesn't get in the way of shit.
Your hair is probably dreading in places.
The hair is definitely, like, it's, like, tied in places, and it's definitely, like, he's trying his best to, like, tie it into, like, you know, like, essentially French braids, right, around as he's trying to, like, keep it out of places so it doesn't get stuck in, like, a metal pole or something like that. And he sees the ship and just writes the bag to the front of him, and, like, holding as, like, one block the urn, the book, and the symbol, he just kind of croaks out and, like, shoves it towards whoever this person is.
This woman very graciously and humbly accepts it from you, and you make eye contact with her, look up into her eyes, and something about her face is familiar. Months ago, you read through a file about Sholey, one that she wrote, a dossier, a debriefing. After she left Yuharu all those years ago with all those children. She adopted one. A girl. Dark hair. Beautiful skin. Bright-eyed. Kind of round-faced. This is not that girl anymore. Not that little girl. She's grown now. But you remember her name. Alaya El-Sabar.
I don't even think he, like... He may remember it, but I think from, like, whatever he's been doing here, I think he just sort of, like, shoves this towards her and then, like, croaks. Sholey said fix it. And then he walks off towards, like, he doesn't even acknowledge, like, Tamir and Tal, because he looks like he's been through hell. But he shoves it to her knowing who she is, and then beelines towards the ship's bathroom.
You are actually home, Malik, for the first time in 11 months. For the first time in 11 months, Malik is back aboard the Defiant, probably after a very dense punch to the face from Tao when they found you. They brought you all the way back here, and now you can go back to Coriolis. You are not the same man that you were. In fact, you're going to gain 2 points in survival for having to survive on a planet like this for so long.
Thanks, chat.
Two months is all you have left before the container blows. Or at least what the readout said. And our story fades out with the sound of a very warm shower. We do not see it, we only hear it, sorry chat, as Malik cleans himself of this adventure, of this outing, and trying to forget whatever harsh realities he had to live to get a book to save Lamara. And that is where we have to end because it is 10:30 and it's way past our time.
Yeah, I think you see, like, the perfect, like, it's too much steam to see anything.
It's too much steam
and then,
to
like,
see anything,
the camera just pans down to, like, his dirty ass feet and the water is black and it just sort of like spins down the drain, and that's where
just
the camera
washing
closes.
Off. Yeah, exactly. Washing it off, and that is where the camera closes.
Absolutely.
That's it. That's all we have for this piece.
That was some shit.
We still haven't saved Lamara. I'm sorry.
What were the corruption bars today?
The corruption bars were taking the container.
Yep.
Leaving you stranded.
Yep.
What was the first one I said?
Oh, the first one was seeing my face when I realized it was a mirror or something like that.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, all right. Well, and how many darkness points do we spend and gain? You gained one from me.
I did gain one from you.
Yep.
And you did meet, well, it's hard to say meet. Okay, I scratched 3 and I added 1, so I'll fill out a new one for next month.
I met an important person. He just happened to be a skeleton when I met him.
He just happened to be that is how I played that card. That character, though you'll never meet him just because that's not our timeline.
Yeah.
Was the last of the priests from Earth.
I figured. All right, well, only one outro today. So, Dot, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
2 outros, because you have to outro too.
Yeah.
I'm Dot. You can find me online as Little Red Dot. I play games and stuff, y'all. I'm very excited. I'll be back here next month. If you want some more of this, it will be Tamir's turn to see what happens. Tamir's story will be taking place 3 months after the disappearance of, or the arrest of Sewell.
Hell yeah.
And then in December, we'll get a chance to, in November, we'll get a chance to meet our new player and new character in a full one-shot where we learned a little bit more about them. And, yeah. Y'all, it's very exciting. I'm very excited for the Tamir one-shot because I am bringing in my very first Coriolis character as an NPC. My very first one ever. Before Lamara, there was another. Didn't
you bring them in this episode?
I mentioned them.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, I definitely heard the name. You definitely said it.
I mentioned them, but I did not. Yeah. So we're gonna learn all about our new crew member in November, who they are, their connection to Sholey, maybe a little bit about what happened on Coriolis, why our daft crew was on Kua.
Yeah.
And then I can say in December, we've got a very, very special one because it's not a one-on-one shot. It is a one-shot with everybody. And they're finally going to try to go rescue their dear, dear pal.
Chat, since you're asking, mark your calendars, October 23rd. It is another Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. That is the Tamir one-shot. So mark your calendars.
Put it on your calendars, y'all.
October 23rd, 8 p.m. Eastern, and you will get to see what happened 3 months prior to sweaty, dirty Malik.
Probably, let's say, when that little letter was delivered to your door that you never checked.
Yeah, probably. That sounds about right. Sounds about right. Great, fantastic.
Oh, wait, and let's not forget, I'm coming back.
That's true.
Thursday,
That's
starting
true.
in October. Come back for more space. October 8th.
8th?
October 8th, we're back with a 6-part mini-series of Alien. Y'all, you think...
Yeah, October 8th.
You think I'm bad at this show.
Yeah.
Wait till people start dying.
We have a sweet, sweet cast for that one, so that's definitely going to be one to check out. That is
sweet
so far the only show coming back for Season 3 this year. We're doing some planning, some prep for season for 2021, so don't you fear.
Which you can help us with by... did we finish? We haven't finished all our goals yet, have we?
No, we're working on the last one. We're working on the last one, which is 3-hour episodes. So all of the money we raise tonight goes into the pot for that, putting us $165 closer, which I believe is a little less than halfway to our next goal. Which is nuts. Pretty damn crazy. We're a little bit over $300 short of our next goal, which is crazy. So if you want to support us, Exclamation Point Season 3, go to our Ko-Fi. I'm going to add this money there after the stream. If you like what we do here on the channel and you want to support us in the whole channel, Patreon is the best way to do that. You get after shows, you get exclusives, you get PDFs, you get all kinds of cool shit. And if you want to join the community and be a part of the conversation, join us in the Discord. Links for both of those things down below. That is it from us. We will see you next month for more space shenanigans. So from all of us to you guys.
I wouldn't even call it shenanigans. It's gonna be space death.
Oh, I meant for Tamir.
Oh, you meant for these shenanigans.
Yeah,
For
these
shenanigans.
shenanigans.
You gotta be specific. Do you know
Sorry.
what sci-fi games I'm in?
Sorry.
Come back for aliens. Come back for more void shenanigans.
True. So from all of us to you guys, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.